Greetings, BArcadians, and welcome to another edition of Gaming News Weekly, your weekly gaming news show, hosted by myself, Tabs, my good friend, gaming companion, engineer, Richard. Say hello, Rich.
Hello.
I mean, it's not a lie, mate. It's true. So yeah, what do we do? Every week we get together, we have a chat about what we've been playing, and then we package in 3 of the kind of hottest topics that are happening in the games industry for your viewing pleasure. And then we finish off with a quick fire round of all the news we couldn't crowbar into the main show for you. So yeah, please smash the like button to help us battle that YouTube algorithm and support the channel. Make sure you've subscribed and ring that bell for notifications so you can stay up to date with us every week, Friday at 5 PM UK time. But without further banging on, Rich, why don't you kick us off, my friend, with what you've mostly been playing this week?
So, we mentioned in the news last week, anyone that watched that we were considering playing It Takes Two. And actually we have, I don't know, was it last weekend we dipped into It Takes Two, Tabs, I think?
Sounds about right. I'd go with that.
So, and anyone that's not in the know, it's just like a cooperative game, 2-player. You can play with friends. One of the outstanding things I think they've done is you can play with someone who doesn't own this game. So you like lend them like a friend pass and they play with you. So we've been playing that quite a bit this week, and it's just such a joy to play. So much fun. The collaboration required and the cooperative, elements of the game have been really fantastic and so much fun to play. And it really is a game of like communication and, oh yeah, you need to do this while I'm doing this. And yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And we've had some boss encounters during this game, and we've both said there's been some of the best boss fights that we've had. So yeah, really enjoyed playing that this week. It's felt such a lot of fun to play.
A review I'd seen, mate, basically said it's some of the best platforming that we've seen since Mario Odyssey on the Switch. And I definitely back that. I was saying to you, wasn't I, that Nintendo need to scoop this development studio up. And Nintendo, I'm sure, will be watching in awe. It's the creativity and innovation is on the same level, and in some respects, I don't know, it perhaps surpasses some of what we've seen of Nintendo's platformers in recent times. It is just, it's a bit bonkers, isn't it, mate? But they create the story in such a way that it can get away with that, because it's the kind of scenarios, the level designs are ever changing, loosely based on the real world, I would say, but totally extrapolated into these fantasy creations. But go on.
One of the things that we've said is like each sort of area, level, section is like designed in a different way. So it might be like based on like a platformer, like Tabs has said, like a sort of a Mario scenario, or it might be based on like a Lego Star Wars type scenario. And all these different mechanics, you would think, oh, they're all just watered down little games, but each area feels like its own type of game on its own. It's so well fleshed out with the way it works, the way you interact with the world. It's just so well done. I'm in awe of what they've done with this game.
Yeah, we had like the other day that we were almost like Sea of Thieves or Valheim style on driving around a little boat and shooting kind of nautical battles. We've had kind of a 2D fighting style. We've had 2D platformer setups, more 3D platformings. Rich points out like a dungeon crawler at one point. But yeah, the biggest thing, like you say, mate, is that they're really well polished. They're not just throwaway attempts that have just been farted out. They really are, really well accomplished and executed. So I would... Go on.
We've said each like area could be a game in its own right. That's how well it's done. Like each different type of mechanic and whatever they've based the game on could be a game of itself. That's how well done it is.
Yeah, and to the point where you're playing it and then you're moving on to the next thing because that's the game, that's how it's played. But you're actually, part of me is like thinking, oh, I wish they'd done a bit more with that, or I wish they'd carried that on a bit.
Yeah.
So they really have made something marvelous. 35 quid, I think I paid for it. And it's a decent length so far. We've not completed it, but even up to now, Rich, if it ended, we thought it was going to end, I think yesterday, the day before. If it had ended then, I think I would have been pretty happy still.
Yeah,
with the content we got out of it. So yeah, can't harp on about this enough and just suggest that you check it out. Give Joseph Fares and all the devs working on this your support if you can. And it's a perfect game in lockdown, as me and Rich are playing online, but also you can play it locally, you know, family, friends, whatever. Absolutely. Get on it. Is that what I would say? Don't miss out. But apart from that, just very quickly, Rich, on the back of my PS Vita revelation last week, that's what else I've been playing. So I've been dotting around on all sorts: Resident Evil 2, Suikoden, Metal Gear Solid, Peace Walker, had a quick go on Sons of Liberty on the HD collection. Loving life on the Vita.
Excellent.
And yeah, trying to coax you into a purchase of maybe MGS Peace Walker, which perhaps we'll talk about in future shows. But let's get into the nitty gritty of it, otherwise we'll never get this show filmed and completed. So the first article is Cheat Bust. So this comes courtesy of BBC News, and here we go. A collaborative effort between Chinese police and gaming giant Tencent has led to the closure of what police say is the biggest ever video game cheat operation. The gang designed and sold cheats to popular video games including Overwatch and Call of Duty Mobile. Roughly $76 million, or £55 million in revenue was made by the organisation, which charged a subscription fee to clients. That just baffles me, Rich. Police seized assets worth $46 million, including several luxury cars. The operation was called Chicken Drumstick and had a website selling to hundreds of countries and regions, local media reported. Subscription prices for users began at around $10 a day and up to $200 a month. Kunshan police found and destroyed 17 cheats and arrested 10 people in connection with the ring, and it said it was the world's biggest cheating case due to the large sums of money and games involved. I mean, I don't really know where to start for this, Rich. It's not the usual kind of story we cover, but I just thought it was mental to hear those sorts of numbers, you know, to how big this kind of cheat enterprise was, that they're commanding those sorts of revenue streams from people who are willing to pay, what did it say, up to $200 a month on these cheats. I suppose these games are highly competitive, highly addictive. Yeah, you know, you want to prove yourself in your sphere of gaming, I suppose. But you know, to do it in this way as well, but that's a lot of people that must be involved in it. What did you make of it all?
I think what it demonstrates quite clearly is that at the size of gaming and the online gaming world, that it is so big and sort of, I guess, profitable that, you know, it can be sort of exposed with something like this to make colossal amounts of money. You know, the online gaming world is obviously so big now that, you know, selling a few cheats to a few people is actually big business. You know, you're selling it to maybe hundreds of thousands of people. You know, gone are the days where you would buy a magazine in the shop for a £5 and there'd be some cheats in the back of it. Those days are long gone. It's much more profitable now, and you can make a seemingly sketchy business model from doing that. So yeah, I think it's great that this has been closed down and sort of tries to even the playing field a bit for those that, you know, we've spoke at length about, you know, pay to win scenarios and how bad they are, be it whatever it is, and this is obviously a scenario that is. So it's good that it's been sort of like taken down, but yeah, I guess ultimately it's one of those things where, you know, you cut the head off one and another two pop up somewhere else. So yeah, I don't know, it's good that it's gone, but yeah, bit of a worrying trend, I guess.
I'm pretty sure, I mean, it doesn't specify in this article, or at least the excerpt we've taken, Rich, but I'm pretty sure these are software level cheats, aren't they? So it's literally hacking the software to, do they call them aimbots in a lot of these kind of FPS
I'm guessing
games?
It's like that. Yeah, I'm guessing it's like that.
The only thing I can recall, mate, is you remember Phantasy Star Online? There was a way to hack those, wasn't there? You could like kill people in one hit and take all their stuff. That's what it reminds me of. But certainly, I mean, it ruins the competitive landscape, doesn't it, when people are just literally, you know, killing you left, right and centre without even trying on these games. So it's a great thing for gamers who play it fairly. But yeah, just a bit of a strange one, really, and glad to see that they've been successful in reprimanding these people.
Absolutely.
But Rich, would you like to move us on while I take a puff on my inhaler, because my asthma feels a little bit flared up this morning?
Absolutely. So while Tabs does that, I'll move us on to Cyberpunk 2077 patch 1.2. Here we go. This is what IGN said about this. Cyberpunk 2077 patch 1.2 is now live and starting to seem like a vicious cycle which involves solving bugs, can also result in some new ones. The Cyberpunk 2077 subreddit is filled with discoveries of bugs that have appeared after the last patch. The 1.2 patch appears to have a net positive in regards of optimization, particularly on consoles like PS5 and Xbox Series X, but despite fixing typos and improving elements like automated police spawn and cars stuck in traffic, there do appear to be some new bugs that weren't in the game before the patch. The Cyberpunk 2077 subreddit, still the most popular source for all things Cyberpunk, has a bunch of videos highlighting some fun new bugs that appeared after the patch. A couple of common bugs have appeared since the patch, one involving a dynamic weather bug that seems to give some players a permanent sandstorm. Nice. Another common one appears to be some serious clipping issues either with the cars, clothes or walls. It is unclear if this is the same issue that's causing weapons to appear invisible for several players. And I think that is where I've seen some clips of people basically, they're like shooting out of their fingers because the gun's gone invisible basically. So yeah, I guess more of a worrying time and perhaps shows sort of what we thought all along, that the game is significantly damaged to the point where solving problems is causing other problems. And I think that's what's been borne out in lots of the stories that have been uncovered since this game's release, that they're saying it is quite a damaged game and it's difficult to get it to run smoothly. So I think a lot more work to do on this, and I think this scenario that we're sort of hearing in this may have had something to do with the decision that CD Projekt Red have made, and which we'll discuss a bit more and everything else. But what do you make of this, Tabs? You've obviously played Cyberpunk on the PC.
Yeah, I was just scrolling through the patch notes the other day, mate, of this, like with an interest to see how much has actually been fixed. And like you say, it was like a novella of patch notes. It went on for pages and pages. I think there's over 500 fixes in this patch.
Wow.
So again, outlines, as you just said, the scale of how unfinished this was when they released it. But we won't dwell on that because I know that's been the narrative for quite some time. It's good to see they say here that it has a net positive effect on optimization, particularly on PS5 and Xbox Series X. So great news on that front. But I think at this point, yeah, it seems to be the game itself is not as popular as some sort of meta game, which is to find new bugs, videotape them, get them online. It's become a bit of a sandbox, hasn't it? Almost for
love it.
Yeah, for entertaining bugs. So yeah, I mean, it's up. They're moving it along, aren't they? They're moving things along, which is good. Still not back out on the stores, PlayStation and Xbox, of course, but yeah, they're moving in the right direction, and hopefully, this is a positive step forwards. I'm not going to replay it at this stage. I think even now, it sounds like it's a lot more of a consistent experience, but I'm waiting for some more meaningful change, mate, to really, for it to become closer to what we saw in those trailers before I'll revisit it.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. So you are saying once IGN, GameSpot, someone reviews a patch and says, this is the game we've all been waiting for, you will be like, right, I'm going to replay it now. That's a significant...
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't think we'll ever get that review to say that, but I think there might be a review if they keep on with it all, and if it's worth their time. I think there might be a review, especially when it re-releases on the PlayStation, Xbox storefronts. I think there could be a review to say, this is the best it's going to get, and this is closest that we've ever seen it to the trailers. It's a consistent experience. They've added new features, new content almost to round the experience out. I feel like it will get to that stage, much akin to the work they did on The Witcher 3, which obviously now is remembered hugely fondly in that kind of finished form. So yeah, I'm really hopeful it will still get to that stage, and yeah, at that point I might have another go at it just to kind of wash the bad taste out of my mouth from the last experience. But anyway, shall we move on, Rich, to the third and final?
Absolutely, and a story I find a little bit sad in some ways. Do you want to tell us all about it, Tabs?
Yeah, it's, you have to wipe a tear in the eye away, don't you? Especially a Sony fanboy as yourself, my friend.
Shots fired.
No. Well, you are a little bit. We both are, I think. But you perhaps a little bit more than me. I lean perhaps a little bit more to Nintendo. I don't know. Anyway, so Sony Japan Studio Exodus. So this comes courtesy of VGC, Video Games Chronicle. Sony will be reorganising Japan Studio into a new organisation tomorrow, and the vast majority of its development staff has been let go. VGC reported last month, with a number of them confirming their departures over the past few months. Shunsuke Saito, probably butchered that, apologies, who was the character designer and animator for both Gravity Rush games and the art director for Gravity Rush 2, announced his departure in a brief Twitter post today, simply saying, "I'm leaving SIE Japan Studio today." Following Saito's announcement, Kentaro Motomura, who was the senior producer on Bloodborne and who has been working for SIE for more than 2 decades, tweeted that he would also be leaving Sony today. "Today, as of the end of March, I'll be retiring from SIE, the company I've worked for many years," Motomura said. "I can't thank you enough for the many games that I've been involved in, including Dark Cloud, Wild Arms, Soul Sacrifice, Bloodborne, and Everybody's Golf. I will continue to produce games in the future, so please continue to support me. Thank you very much." Excuse me. In a tweet possibly related to the news, Demon's Souls creative director Gavin Moore published a dedication to his development team on Wednesday, along with the cryptic inclusion of the "This is fine" meme, which features a dog assuring himself that all is okay, despite sitting in a room that is engulfed in flames. I think Gavin Moore has since announced his departure as well, actually. Video Games Chronicle sources revealed in February that Sony was planning to wind down the Japan studio, with the majority of its development staff being let go and the remaining staff being absorbed into Team Asobi, the creative team behind Astro's Playroom. So yeah, suffice to say, it seems, even just from this short article and excerpt, that a number of the key developers that have been involved in some real classic franchises of Sony, of PlayStation over the years, and make up a lot of the lineage of PlayStation, are leaving, Rich, which I just find shocking. We've seen in recent times that, how well Sony have managed their first-party development studios and the success and the output we've seen from them. And this just seems, I don't know, out of kilter with that for me. I just feel like there's so much talent here that seems to be being displaced because of this move. And we're fond ourselves, aren't we, of a lot of the games that Japan Studio have put out there. I mean, do you want to rattle off a few?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I find most sad about this is 3 games that I think collectively, both me and you think are fantastic games and really showcase games as art. Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Last Guardian, 3 fantastic games. For us, I know they weren't universally well received, but like fantastic games that were produced by Japan Studios, and the people behind these games are not going to get the chance to make more games like that. And that's what I find most disappointing about this in some respects. I mean, obviously it's possible that it'll come to light that there'll be a new studio formed, these people are going to become independent or whatever, but yeah, just really makes me feel disheartened, to think I'm not going to have another one of those experiences like we had with those games.
I think some questions were asked to Jim Ryan recently about a potential move to downscale their Japanese studios, and he played it down, I think in response, as all good CEOs or whatever do. But I don't know. There must be a change in strategy here, and I appreciate. I don't know. Perhaps some of these developers are getting older now, and they want to bring in fresh new blood and talent and all that. But yeah, at the same time, just some of those franchises mentioned there: Dark Cloud, Wild Arms, Soul Sacrifice, Bloodborne, Everybody's Golf, Demon's Souls. They've got some huge cult followings and are obviously fantastic experiences. So I don't quite understand what's going on here, but as you say, I think we've already heard that quite a lot of these developers leaving are setting up their own independent studios, so hopefully they achieve success with those.
And it has to be said that that's not always a bad thing. We saw Hideo Kojima used to work for a big franchise, Konami. He went out on his own and produced a good game. Again, another game we really enjoyed with Death Stranding. Wasn't universally well liked, but it does show that it is possible for the people, these impressively creative people, that they can go out on their own and do their own thing and still be successful. So I don't think it's anything to be massively worried about. It's just a shame that we're potentially not going to see some games which I really love and the lineage of those games move forward again. So
yeah, I think good developers, they'll always find a home, won't they? Especially in this growing video game market. It's just like you say, it's more of a respect thing. I think to obviously people who have put out some really important games for PlayStation and their brand, and to just do away with them in this way seems a little bit, leaves a bad taste in the mouth again. So anyway, let us know what you think, BArcadians, in the comments down below. As always, we'd love to hear from you. But Rich, shall we finish off today with the hip-fired everything else?
Let's do it. So first up, we've got E3's digital event in 2021 will be free for all attendees, ESA confirmed, following rumours that there would be a paywall for anyone who wanted to get access to the digital content.
Wonder if that was a last minute U-turn based on the bad press there. Next up, CD Projekt Red says Epic Games Store leaks aren't Cyberpunk 2077 expansions, and they also state 2077 is getting closer to its PlayStation Store comeback. Interesting.
Good news. And I think we touched on this briefly in the main part, but CD Projekt Red has also decided to reconsider Cyberpunk 2077 multiplayer direction. Now I wonder whether they're struggling with the workload to get Cyberpunk to where it should be and sort of save some brand favour, I guess, that maybe they've decided multiplayer is just not an option right now. So interesting. I think that's an interesting take. We'll see what happens there.
They can't put anything out, can they, realistically, until the main game is properly fixed?
Yeah, agreed.
And by then, will they have the audience to...
Is it relevant?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have to see. Last of all, although I'm going to crowbar in another one, Rich. So Bungie is working on a new secret world in parallel with Destiny, planned for 2025. That's interesting. In parallel with Destiny. So is that suggesting it's a whole new franchise, or is that saying it's somehow part of the same universe? I'm not entirely sure.
I wasn't sure on that. Do they mean it's being developed alongside it, so they'll have two big franchises, or do they mean it will be in some way linked to it? Yeah, I wasn't sure on that one. We will see.
Yeah, interesting nonetheless. And the last thing I just wanted to crowbar in, mate, was just to say, of course, I think the Disco Elysium, it's dropped on consoles now, the final cut. I've downloaded the upgrade on the PC version I hold. I would just say to anybody who hasn't played that game, who's tempted by it, there's never been a better time to do so, because it's got full voice acting now, which is amazing. And I saw a review from IGN this week, and they said it's just the icing on the cake. It's elevated it to masterpiece status now. And Rich, you need to get playing it, mate.
Wow, masterpiece. They actually used the term masterpiece.
I think they gave it a 10 out of 10, and I'm sure it said masterpiece. What? I'm sure it did.
Wow, I do need to get on it.
I'm not going to bet my life on it, but I'm sure it did. But yes, you do, mate. It's a fantastic game. You love a point and click just as much as me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very much like that, but just so much better and modernised with new ideas. So do it, mate. Do it. And I think that'll do us for this week. So once again, thank you everybody for tuning in. The few of you that do. As ever, please smash the like button if you haven't already. Help us to grow and support the channel. Let us know your thoughts on this week's news items in the comments. And we'll see you hopefully next week, Friday, 5 p.m. UK time. And that's us, Rich. I think that's another one for the archives.
Stamped and completed.